Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. So sit back and relax or walk and listen and join me on this journey as we try to answer this never-ending question: what makes people say, why not? Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. This is just a little short episode, to be honest. It's very short. Just talking about identities and the stress that can be caused if we feel like we're losing our identity. I talk my own little story of something that happened to me this year, and I do talk a little bit about stress. It being Stress Awareness Month this month, so little things we can do. Again, very short and sweet. I hope you enjoy it. Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. So today I wanted to kind of talk about identities and how important they are to us, and maybe we don't realise, I suppose, in a sense. And I know just when it comes to training and stuff like that, there is a lot of talk of people who have long-term weight loss. A lot of it is to do with they have to make an identity change, and a lot of people, when they go to try and lose weight, they're not ready to lose that identity, and that's why they maybe struggle, among other things, the program, the eat, and all that kind of stuff can be part of it as well. But there is a big shift, if you want to be someone who's fit, that kind of has to become part of your identity, as in I go to the gym, it's one of the things I do, or I exercise, one of the things I do, or anyway, I kind of wanted to I've written something about this recently, and I kind of wanted to talk about it as well, kind of coming from my own experience, and how something you might think is really small almost created an identity crisis for me recently. So I'm sure if you listen here, I've talked about it enough, I horse ride and I have a horse. And anyway, I have been horse riding since I'm 7. So I suppose me horse riding has been a core part of my identity for my whole life. And owning my own horse has been a big part of my life for coming up on 15 years now. So that has always been a big part of my life. So no matter what I was doing, was I in college, was I a student, was I working, was I this, that and the other, I always had the constant that I'm a horse girl or I horse ride. And anyway, at the start of this year, Sam got a very bad tendon injury, and he is old enough. He is 24 this year, so he's not a young lad, and the injuries aren't great to start off with. Fun fact is, the injury he got is very common in racehorses, and my horse is the laziest animal in the world. So irony is strong there. I did get a laugh out of that, to be fair. But what the problem is now, he is minimum out for a year, possibly fully retired, and since then I haven't been able to horse ride, which I still have my horse, but it's kind of other than the stress of the back and forth to the vets when we were first initially injured, or he first hurt himself and he wasn't getting better, it kind of makes you question this part of your identity, because all of my life, nearly 7 is a young age, I have been a horse girl. I have been involved in horse riding. I've competed at very amateur level stuff, but I've still competed. I've done stuff, it's always been a very integral part of my life, and it feels like that's all been taken away from me. Now I still have Sam. I still see him several times a week, but it feels kind of not the same. You just go up and you give them a carrot, and obviously he's had to be turned out because Sam but he's out now, living out in the fields, so you go up to check on him and make sure he's alright. He looks at you, you look at him, you give him a carrot, and then you go off again. Whereas before, I'd go up there, we might brush him a little bit, I'd take him out, I'd ride him for half an hour, put him back, spend a bit of time with him. It's kind of almost you don't know what to do, because I think when the weather gets better and it's not as rainy, I might sit out and watch him for a while, but at the moment sometimes it's peeing rain, the place is waterlogged, it's it's just not really good weather for sitting out and looking at a horse, and it's been cold. No offense to the horse, he is a lovely horse, but that has made things, I found things very difficult, in a sense that because of that I haven't been able to horse ride, which is, as I said, it's a big part of my identity. And personally, I find it very hard to feel like I have an identity over the years. Like, I have kind of always felt like a bit of an outside person. Like, even in the horse people, I'm a little bit outside. I'm very shy. I find it very hard to talk to people. I've gotten better at it over the years, because of working in a gym. You kind of have to be able to talk to people. I still struggle with it though. I know I'm here on a podcast right now saying that I struggle with people and put myself out there. But the thing about this is I can record it and pop it up and just ignore it then. So I suppose now I feel like that one constant is gone. So it's kind of like, I'm at an age where people are getting houses and moving on, and I kind of feel like at the moment I can't. But I still have my horse, and now I do have my horse, but I don't have my horse, if that makes sense. And it kind of gives you these loads of like extra time in the day where I suppose I've kind of found myself faffing around or just sitting on my phone, or just kind of like, this would be time I'd be exercising with Sam, or it's like a big hole in your day, but I haven't managed to find a way to fill it. Like, I could be absolutely productive in that time. Like, I'd normally be up there like an hour and a half minimum with that horse, and now I'm there maybe 10-20 minutes. I could be using that for so many other different things. I've podcasts, I've content to create, I've all these things, and it's just too hard. I don't know what it is. It's just that time. Like, I think like when you have something like this happen, I think there might be, to an extent, a bit of a grieving process. You have to kind of accept how you feel, which I don't like doing, by the way. I'm not a feely person, but when you have to kind of go through this process. But I suppose at the end of the day, like, I still am, like, I haven't lost the ability to horse ride. I haven't lost the ability to speak to horses. Thankfully now in the last while I might be able to get involved with horses again, while still being able to see Sam, which is definitely very helpful. But when you have that initial time, it's like, it almost feels like a kind of a grieving process. And this is a really long-winded way of saying it's shite. And it's really, really hard to deal with. And I think it's a good time to talk about this whole thing, because it is also Stress Awareness Month. So when you are having an identity shift, or you feel like your identity is changing and it's out of your control, now this doesn't necessarily have to be fitness related. This could be anything. Like, this could be changing job, it could be maybe moving up in the world, it could be big life things happening, or maybe you feel like you have a lack of identity because you're not hitting these milestones, and it's not, you don't know who you are, you feel like you don't know who you are, while everyone else seems to have that identity, or you're just missing something. It can cause a lot of stress. And like that, there was not just, for me, it wasn't just stress of the horse being injured, and there was a lot of stress involved in that, but also stress where I felt like the end, in a sense, because he may not be ridden again, and we won't know for at least a year anyway. And you like, it kind of came out of the blue. So if you feel a bit lost, don't worry. I think it's worth just saying it to anyone, because it will happen to everyone at some point. Anyone who says it doesn't happen to them is probably lying. I think there are multiple times in your life where you can end up questioning your identity, or even just not even questioning it, but just feeling like there is none. Like, you can't question an identity because you don't have one. Like, there's so many times in our life and this can happen, and even things like that might be part of your core identity, is if you feel like something part of your core identity can almost vanish in an instant sometimes and just make you feel like you are identityless again. Um, so yeah, I don't know if it is something you struggle with. Like, again, this is not necessarily fitness based. This could be if you're going through any big life change, or you feel like you should be going through a life change, or maybe you are going through it and you don't feel like you're in the right spot. It will get better. I think it's really important that you need to actually sit with your feelings and see how you feel, because there's only so much you can run from your problems before it catches up with you. These things like, stress and mental health issues can, like, they can very, very easily manifest themselves in other ways. So you may be like, oh yeah, I'm not dealing with it, but I'm okay. But like, maybe your sleep is shit and you haven't been able to get into a proper sleep routine for months. Or maybe you've a loss of appetite, or you feel really ill randomly and you don't know why, or you're getting pains and aches in your like shoulders, your neck. These can all be signs of stress. If you've like maybe gone to see someone about these and you got no answer from it, maybe you need to just have a look inwards. You generally know what the problem is. You might just need to have a good cry and then you'll feel better, or you might just need to acknowledge the problem and then you feel a little bit better. As I said, I'm a person who just runs from it constantly, and even kind of speaking about this is hard for me. Even like I wrote an article about it. Same thing, just feeling like my identity is lost. A lot, as I was saying, even like my business is largely tied up with PT, but also training equestrians, and if I don't even horse ride, how can I train them? Like, there's so much more than just, oh, my horse got injured. And like that with everyone else, if there is something going on in your life, there's generally so much more than it just being you're sad or you're feeling down. Like, if it's going on for a long period of time, you do have to address it at some point, and it's really hard to. It really, really is. But maybe this will motivate you to do it. I suppose, as I said, it's Stress Awareness Month. If there is some ongoing stresses, the worst thing you can do is avoid them, because they will only get worse and they can affect you both physically and mentally. So in order to avoid that, why don't you just grab the bull by the horns and make yourself feel better? Don't do me. Don't be like me. There's so many outlets out there now, like there are people there who want to talk to you. Your friends will talk to you. If you don't feel like you've got friends, reach out to me if you want. If you have a partner, talk to them. They can't know what's going on with you if you don't talk to them. But I suppose if you found you're struggling with anything, or like that, I suppose I kind of started talking about this from the fitness element, and it's not really fitness, to be honest. It's more I suppose mental health. Don't put your mental health in the back burner. I know it's very hard in this country to get any help, but if there's anything you can do yourself that you don't have to spend thousands on, like if you could start something like journaling, just writing down how you're feeling, see how that is. Going for walks. I know if you're not feeling good, you won't want to get out and walk, but sometimes it's great. And even sometimes just playing some games on your phone. You don't have to, like, when it comes to releasing stress or feeling better, it doesn't necessarily have to be the obvious ones like meditation. Like, you might find meditation is boring as hell. I find it very difficult. It doesn't work for me, but it works for other people. But maybe going for a walk works for you, because that generally works for me better. Or playing games on my phone sometimes just helps me just switch off from stuff and de-stress a little bit. You just have something small to focus on. Your brain can't go into other things for a while. Sometimes that's all you need. Find what works for you and focus on them, and try and get yourself to a place where you can manage the stress, or manage the, like, you might find life changes are too much for you. Like, it might be a case that you have to go towards therapy or something at some point, but that's not a bad thing either. Lots of people do therapy now. I hope that didn't sound too condescending. Lots of people do it though, but, and if it isn't the case, as I said, you can't always access it. Do try things like journaling. See if you can kind of get to the bottom of things, and it is uncomfortable opening that door, but it can make things a lot better for you in the long run. So it is absolutely 100% worth it. I don't know if this helped anyone. It's a shorter podcast. I probably could talk more, but I don't know. I feel like leaving it there today. If you did find it helpful, please drop me a message and let me know. And hopefully it spurred you on to do something. I've gotten to the point where I can't run from my feelings about the pony anymore, so I've decided to just share that very brief story. I suppose it's not really a lot, but it's just something that maybe you don't think is going to affect you so much until it actually happens. And it's understandable why people get very upset as well when they lose pets, or or something happens with animals. It's just, again, it's a big thing in their lives. So if you do notice someone is struggling with something like that, please do not put them down for it and say it's only this, it's only that. It's a lot to them. Just say, you're right, it sucks, and move on, even if you're not thinking that. But with that, I am going to leave you with this short and sweet episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. I hope it gave you some brief ideas of what you can do maybe for yourself. And I shall talk to you all again next week. As ever, you will find me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm just going to go strong the saddle _ for Instagram, and TikTok is strong the saddle. And my website is www.chrissyhawkins.com. Thank you again. I really do appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast. So if you please could help me with the algorithm and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And even, if you want to reach out and suggest topics for me, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Drop me a DM on Instagram or TikTok. And thanks again for listening.